Tonight, a faceless robber was to be illegally executed for stealing secrets. That's what senior diplomat Peter Rain of the British and Foreign Commonwealth Office hoped would happen. He'd assembled a four-man lynch mob to do the dirty work. They were tough men, specialists, brutal, and exacting when given enough money to do a job that had no place in the eyes of the law. Tonight, Rain was merely an observer. The 53-year-old man was inside the back of a transit van. The man by his side was muscular, in his 40s, wearing jeans and a jumper and hiking boots, had a cigarette dangling from his lips and a handgun strapped to his chest. He was staring at a computer screen. So was Rain. The screen was divided in two. On one side was a live feed of the outside of a farmhouse that was 27 miles northeast of the city of Bergen, Norway. The property had been under surveillance by the diplomat's men for 16 hours. The image was grey and grainy because it was captured by night vision technology. The other side of the screen gave insight into real-time components of the farmhouse's interior. Not most of it, just the parts that were needed. The man by his side tensed as one of his men spoke in his earpiece. In English, but with a French accent, he replied in his throat-piece. "Remember, proof of exchange essential. Zero movement until my command." Without taking his eyes off the screen, the team leader muttered to Rain. "Person approaching house. On foot. Average walking pace. Approximately 200 yards away on the track." An amateur observer might have said something at this point. Rain was no amateur. He waited in silence. Time slowed down. In the last 2 weeks, so much had happened to enable this moment. Surveillance of the man in the house, following him day and night including a trip to Russia, searching his home in central Bergen and the remote safe house they were now watching, installing eavesdropping equipment into both properties, and, last night, intercepting a coded SMS to the man's mobile. The message had been sent from a pay-as-you-go mobile phone purchased in Abuja, Nigeria. The message had read, "Safe place, 2300 hours tomorrow night." Nothing else. All efforts to glean anything about the sender had drawn a blank, but, though it had been a devil of a job to do so, Rain had managed to crack the code. So tonight was the night. Rain and his men were watching the safe place, hoping that at 11 p.m. the most dangerous person in the world would turn up. There was no doubt that the person Rain sought was a British government official who had the highest level of security clearance in the United Kingdom. The perpetrator sold top-secret documents to the highest bidder. The results of his or her actions were catastrophic to the national security of Britain, its allies, its sometimes allies, and most of its stable enemies. The unstable enemies were the robbers' clients. They were the problem. They liked the intelligence the individual stole. His only lead was the man he referred to as the broker, the man who acted as the intermediary between the traitor and the clients. The man who was in the house. The team leader drummed his fingers adjacent to the laptop, then stopped. Both he and Rain had visual of a solitary person approaching the house. The team leader said quietly into his throat mic, "Not yet." The person entered the house. He or she, it wasn't possible to tell gender from the visuals, moved through 2 rooms before entering the largest room in the house. It was the room containing the broker. The room was so expertly and discreetly bugged that one would be able to hear a whispered voice. But, though the 2 people were barely 3 feet apart, there was no audible sound whatsoever. No talking, thought Rain. No communication between the 2 people. The assumption that someone could be listening. Clever. Something was handed to the broker by the person who'd entered the room. That person stepped back a couple of paces. The broker turned and appeared to lean over something, maybe a desk. 39 seconds later, the broker stood fully upright, turned towards the other person and raised his arm to chest height. Rain's eyes narrowed. It was so difficult to see what was going on. The thermal imagery was not precise. Raised his arm? "That's it!" Rain exclaimed. "He's given the thumbs up." But the team leader's tone was calm and matter-of-fact when he commanded, "Go, go, go."